Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Vaniza here, and I am the part of Youth General Assembly. Before actually moving towards the topic of the webinar, today I'll just give you a brief introduction about Youth General Assembly. So, basically, YGA is the first youth-led parliamentary initiative and in the history of Pakistan, playing an important role in its administrative, political, and socio-economical processes. So currently, YG is working on its three main forums, that is the business forum, a legal forum, and the media forum. The topic, as we are very well aware, the topic of our webinar is the gender-specific barriers to female entrepreneurs in Pakistan. So to discuss that and to enlighten us more about that, we have a very special guest with us, Ma'am Rabia Ahmed. She is the partner and director strategy of Hapa Studios. She is a creative strategist, copywriter, and entrepreneur, and head content strategy and digital marketing, who has gone from strength to strength since her journey started 15 years ago. Welcome, ma'am, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Vanisa and Halima. Thank you so much. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, ma'am. How are you?
Very good, ma'am.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, so let's just start the webinar now. Ma'am, my first question to you would be how important do you think women's entrepreneur is, and how it is improving or playing any part in improving the economy of Pakistan?
Right. So, to just begin with, first of all, आपने सवाल जो पूछा, and I'll keep talking in Urdu and English if you don't mind. Is that okay?
It's totally fine. It's up to you.
ओके सो सबसे पहले तो ये समझने की बात है कि विमेन या वुमन एंटरप्रेन्योर या जो जिसको हम कहते हैं वुमन लेड बिजनेस एंटरप्राइज या वुमन एसएमई WSME इसकी कोई डेफिनेशन पाकिस्तान में एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करती. For now, everything is clubbed together under just SMEs. There is absolutely no definition of a WSME in Pakistan. Um, entrepreneurship in general, yes, I think is important to any economy. हमारे मुल्क में women entrepreneurship इसलिए भी ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है because given our population division between the genders, women are at 48%. And just looking at that, I mean, frankly, if half your population is not working or contributing in some way to the labor force, in terms of whether employment or entrepreneurship, both, it will have a very big impact on your overall economy. So I think the need of the hour is, and as we discuss further, I'm sure you guys have other questions, but I think the need of the hour is to first of all develop and create and develop, and actually through policy and change making, we should be able to establish a WSME definition that will allow women entrepreneurs to overcome any socio-economic hurdles, any cultural hurdles, any sort of hurdles or obstacles that they face in terms of operating as productive individuals in the community.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Definitely, we need to have a proper definition so people can actually know what the importance is. Okay, ma'am. So my next question would be that given what we have seen, that it is clear the gender gap, right? This is a significant problem. So how do you feel about that stereotype that women can't succeed as an independent, business owners?
अच्छा, so I think कि ये एक अब at least given the past 5 years and given the way that entrepreneurship in general and e-commerce in general has grown in Pakistan, which would include digitization as well as digitalization of the economy. What we do see is frankly a lot of growth, and I think that this stereotype is now very much outdated, and I feel that matlab, for at least the new generation or the upcoming generation, I don't think I don't think there are a lot of people who believe in this. Abhi, in fact, just right before I joined this session, I saw this amazing post on LinkedIn. It was by this girl, and she had just put herself out there and said that, I'm willing to teach any woman in this city how to ride a bike. So you don't have to be, frankly, social media or social commerce or e-commerce or just the internet has changed the way we even perceive or perceive genders, or we perceive outdated stereotypes or whatever it is. So आई डोंट थिंक कि वो अब उस एक्सटेंट तक इम्पैक्ट करता है जो टिपिकल स्टीरियोटाइपिंग थी. येस, गिवन द फैक्ट दैट Pakistan has very strong divisions in terms of rural and urban areas. I think maybe in rural areas this sort of stereotyping is there. However, I also feel that now more and more women are looking to at least contribute to the household income. Frankly, क्योंकि अब उस तरह के हालात भी नहीं है कि आप that a single income can sustain the family. So we've seen a lot of rural urban migration. We've seen a lot of women coming into town, coming into urban areas and bigger cities for work. However, I do feel that if we were to create opportunities within their own communities, give them that sort of training, give them that sort of those sort of advantages that they would receive, I'm sure that within the community we can build women to be better and more sort of contributing factors to the community in general, which will not only decrease the sort of load there is going to be on the urban centers of Pakistan, but it will also then help bring up our rural areas, bring up our agricultural centers. We have to remember at the end of the day that Pakistan is an agrarian economy. A huge amount of our GDP is dependent on agriculture. We cannot negate that completely. सो उसके लिए आई फील कि बहुत ज़रूरी है कि इंस्टेड कि आप अपने अर्बन सेंटर्स को कॉन्स्टेंटली डेवलप करें. इट्स ह्यूजली इम्पॉर्टेंट कि आप अपनी रूरल एरियाज़ में कम्युनिटी बेस्ड लिविंग को डेवलप करें, जिसके अंदर men and women are working. They are already working side by side, frankly. It's just that women, usually the labor that they put in goes undocumented, right? So it's very important that this community based living model is introduced into our rural areas, and access to finance is given to women. And we're not talking about them making millions and millions of rupees. We're talking about each and every person within a community understanding their value in the bigger picture, right? So बेशक वो एक मतलब whether it's a boy or a girl, it's somebody young like you guys, or it's somebody slightly older who has a household to look at. I think each and every person needs to contribute to the community, and then the community as a whole contributes obviously to whether it's the economy or nation building or whatever it is.
Thank you, ma'am. There is definitely a need for contributing. Like every single person needs to contribute because economy is literally under so much stress right now. So we need to work on that as well. Over to you, Halima.
Thank you. My name is Alima Sadia. I want to ask a question that, as you have said, that all women are working in this field already, but there is a need for awareness. There is a lack of awareness about the entrepreneurship where the women can actually contribute. So, how can you suggest if we can overcome this obstacle?
देखिए, इसके दो तरीके हैं. एक तो यस, आई एग्री कि entrepreneurship, specifically entrepreneurship ऊपर, there is not a lot that's said. But frankly, let me tell you, if somebody's growing vegetables in their garden at home and selling them, that person is also an entrepreneur, right? Somebody creating an app that works and works towards maybe healing millions and millions of people, that person is also an entrepreneur. So इट्स फ्रैंकली नॉट, ये लोगों को समझाने की ज़रूरत है कि जी आप बेशक देखें, आप बेशक एक 9 to 5 नौकरी कर रहे हो क्योंकि आपके लिए ज़रूरी है, आप अपना कोई काम शुरू करें, आप अपना कोई प्रोडक्ट क्रिएट करें, आप प्रोएक्टिवली सोचें कि जी मैं एक एज अ पर्सन, as a citizen of Pakistan or as a citizen of any country, how can I add value to what my country is trying to achieve? ठीक है, जब आपका थॉट प्रोसेस ये होगा तो ऑटोमेटिकली आपकी बहुत सारी चीज़ें उसकी तरफ गेयर हो जाती हैं. इट्स अबाउट द वैल्यू सिस्टम दैट वी टीच our people, or we teach our kids in school, or we teach our we when we have, there's so many NGOs who are working in Pakistan, in the rural areas, in urban areas. They're trying to develop a lot of stuff in terms of entrepreneurship as well. मगर जो access उन तक है वो नहीं होता. फिर obviously जो आपकी you have to be within the community, within the ecosystem, within that network of people. So I think कि जिस तरह आप लोग you guys also do a lot of outreach in terms of bringing on people, talking about issues. I think more of this work is needed to really bring about true change. There's somebody I know, he has actually conducted this program in, I think, more than 20 universities in Pakistan, in which he gave out 1,000 rupees to anybody who was willing to kind of, take that money and create something. एंड पीपल हैव क्रिएटेड बिजनेसेस. बेशक उसने अफ़गानी पुलाव बनाया, या उसने कोई खाने का बिजनेस शुरू किया, या उसने कोई छोटी सी एक चीज़ बना के उसको आगे बेचा, और फिर उससे, मगर अ, बात ये होती है कि आपके अंदर सबसे पहले ये कॉन्फिडेंस होना चाहिए, और ये ख्याल होना चाहिए कि मैंने कुछ करना है और मैं कर सकती हूँ. उसके बाद ही आप इस बारे में सोचोगे ना. सो आई थिंक दैट द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट नीड्स टू बी वर्कड ऑन इज द कॉन्फिडेंस and the proactive approach that women need to take towards entrepreneurship.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. You are right. This was my next question. Actually, yes, self confidence is really important, because when you are not confident in yourself, then how are you gonna compete in the world, which is a patriarchal mostly. So thank you for your opinion. Over to you, Vanessa.
Okay, ma'am, you just said about that confidence is important, self-confidence is really important. So, ma'am, there are a number of women, they want एक business अगर उन्होंने start किया है, they want it कि वो एक overnight success बन जाए. See, so that is not, that does not happen. But so उसकी वजह से लोग जो है वो उस तरफ जाना ही कम कर देते हैं. So how do you think we can eradicate that? Like, how can we teach them कि नहीं इस तरह नहीं होता? You need to have patience, right?
देखें, आई थिंक कि बहुत सारी बिजनेसेस हैं दुनिया में जिनका शायद किसी को कभी नहीं पता चलता, एंड दे वेरी सक्सेसफुल बिजनेसेस. देयर लॉट्स ऑफ पीपल इन द वर्ल्ड. सक्सेस, आप सक्सेस किस तरह डिफाइन करते हैं? सबसे पहले तो ये सवाल है ना, आप सक्सेस को डिफाइन किस तरह करते हैं? आर यू डिफाइनिंग सक्सेस in terms of the amount of money you make, or in terms of the change you are about to bring, that you are able to bring about? So your definition of success will also actually define, uh, डेफिनेटली आई एग्री विद यू ऑन वन थिंग वनीज़ा, कि ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि जो भी सक्सेस स्टोरीज़ हों, जिस तरह की भी हों, ज़रूरी नहीं है कि जी किसी को सीड फंडिंग मिली है तो हम उसी के बारे में ही बात करें, या किसी को फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट मिल गई है तो हम उसी के बारे में बात करें. आई थिंक कि ये भी बहुत ज़रूरी है कि अगर कोई बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो कि बहुत सारा काम कर रहे हैं विदाउट एनी फंडिंग, they're bootstrapping whatever they have to do, through what they have to do, and they're doing some amazing work. As long as you are able to bring about change, I feel you are a success. So मतलब सक्सेस का आपकी अपनी डेफिनेशन है. अगर ये तो अजीब सी मुझे बात कभी कभी लगती है कि लोग कहते हैं कि जी आप सक्सेस जो है कि लाइक हाउ मच मनी डिड योर frankly did your company make, or whatever you were doing. तो आई थिंक हमें उसके बियॉन्ड देखना चाहिए हर चीज़। जो है ना वो उसकी वैल्यू इज़ नॉट मॉनेटरी. So yes, we have to contribute. We're talking about entrepreneurship. So essentially, we're talking about contributing to the economy. But on the other hand, entrepreneurship can also have a social enterprise angle, right? It does not necessarily just have to have a money making angle. And I think it's important that that aspect of the business should be put out. It's very nice and very heartening to see that there's so many health tech related companies that have come up. There's so much that's happening in terms of the fintech sector, in terms of the edutech sector. So it's great to see that people are bringing in the social enterprise angle in which they are actually also helping out people at the end of the day. So I think that that is true success. Whether you actually in the end make millions or billions or make thousands, I don't think that should matter at all, as long as you are able to say to yourself at the end of the day, Kiji, I managed to change somebody's life for the better.
Yes, indeed, ma'am. That's the mindset of today's young generation, that success is all about making money, lots of money. Because, people are facing a lot of struggles. So it's like, हमें बस पैसे ही कमाने. That is literally a dilemma. Okay, Halima, now your turn.
Thank you. I want to ask a question that, as we have already discussed, कि हम जब भी whenever we talk about the women participation in jobs, we everything we talk about the external barriers. We talk about cultural norms. We talk about the internal barriers, which is often neglected, like lack of self-confidence, the fear of competition. So, in your opinion, how much important it is to talk about and to exterminate these factors along with the external barriers?
देखें ये फैक्टर्स तो आपको सबसे पहले इन्हीं के साथ डील करना पड़ेगा. मगर मैं आई ऑल्सो बिलीव कि इफ़ अ वुमन इज़ एबल टू बी independent, or if not, I mean not independent, but at least be able to contribute to the household in a financial way, I think that that really helps overcome these factors as well. Now, of course, it's a catch-22 situation कि जी ये factors पहले आते हैं. It's like the chicken and the egg, right? कि ये factors पहले आते हैं या आपकी financial independence पहले आएगी. मगर हमने जिस तरह we ran a very interesting project in the outskirts of Bahawalpur with USAID a few years back, and it was based on livestock rearing. And what we did was that we gave these women a certain amount of livestock. We gave them training. It was a 6-month program. And what was interesting to note was कि उनको किसी ने नहीं रोका कि आप ये मत करें, क्योंकि वो देखें बात ये होती है कि जी औरत घर से बाहर क्यों जा रही है, तो आप उसको इस तरह सपोर्ट करें कल्चरली या सोशली या फाइनेंशियली कि उसको घर से चले निकलने की ज़रूरत ही ना पड़े अगर ये इशू है उसका. ठीक है, तो इस तरह करके जब हमने किया तो there was what we found out was that there were actually women who started earning, like, and back 5-6 years back they started earning 19-20,000 rupees a month, and they were contributing to their household. They were उनकी मतलब frankly उनकी community के अंदर एक इज्जत भी बन गई, you know, because वो आगे और लोगों को train भी कर रही थी, advice भी दे रही थी. तो वही वाली चीज़ है कि जो मैंने आपसे बिल्कुल शुरू में बात की थी ना, कि हमें एक तो हमें ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग होनी चाहिए कि हर चीज़ के लिए आपको करोड़ों रुपया नहीं चाहिए. आप छोटे एक कम्युनिटी लेवल से आप शुरू करें. और अगर जिस तरह आप की हलीमा, if you belong to, let's say you belong to a village or a small town, if you go and start something there with 10-15 women, right, I'm sure it'll grow to become something bigger. ठीक, in the same way Vanessa does the same thing, in the same way there are 50 other people. तो देखिए ना 50 के अंदर आप multiply कर लें, you collectively you guys will be touching uh, God knows 10-20,000 people eventually. तो छोटी सी चीज़ से शुरू करना चाहिए, and I think कि उसको grow करना भी आसान होता है. उसको सस्टेन करना भी आसान होता है और उसके अंदर आपका भी फ़ायदा होगा एट द एंड ऑफ द डे इफ़ you will also be an entrepreneur for creating something like this, right? And I think that what's also very important is जो मैंने आपको शुरू में बात की थी कि अभी तक in terms of access to finance, in terms of access to technology, there are a lot of hurdles in a lot of areas in Pakistan. TikTok पे तो सारे सारे देखते हैं टिकटॉक राइट मगर हम सिर्फ अभी एक आई थिंक we're at 37% of inroads into in terms of technology, access to technology. तो अर्बन मतलब बड़े शहरों में बैठ के लाहौर कराची इस्लामाबाद में बैठ के तो हमें ये लगता है ना कि हम हाँ जी सब कुछ है और क्यों नहीं कुछ हो रहा और क्यों नहीं लोग मतलब हम हमें पाकिस्तान को तो we should be you know building a colony on the moon but if you go into any village the setup is very much the same like it was 100 years back or 50 years back, right? It hasn't changed. So change आपका हमेशा आपकी बहुत बड़ी पॉपुलेशन अभी भी छोटे शहरों में रहती है गांव में रहती है कस्बों में रहती है उनके अंदर आप ये चेंज लाएं और चेंज लाने के लिए आप जैसे लोग ही ज़रूरी हैं आई थिंक उनको and this sort of change can only come in terms of when you make human contact with them, right? Expecting कि जी रेडियो पे एक मैसेज चलेगा और कुछ हो जाएगा इस तरह नहीं होता so अभी भी बहुत सारे लोगों ने अभी recently they've created supply chains and they're now bringing craft and produce and even you know lots of organic ways of living. They're bringing these things now to the cities, to the area. So I think that it's great that we're actually kind of relearning what we knew in a way, and also that now we are able to create those sort of supply chains and using because देखिए आपको शायद access to technology या एक comfort level with technology होगा so आप जब काम करोगे तो और अगर आप अपनी एक supply chain create करते हो तो you will be able to market it better. You will be able to market it to maybe an international audience, right? So ये जो चीज़ है कि having an idea and then following through with it even if it's small, even if it's on a small मगर सोशो जिस तरह आपने जो स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन था आपका कि सोशो कल्चरल वो तो देखें वो तो आई थिंक इट विल टेक जनरेशंस मे बी 2 or 3 generations to actually get over it and it's going to be people like you guys who are going to help do this because I mean these people they frankly they are not they are very set in their ways मगर मैं आपको एक चीज़ बताऊं there's a very interesting case study अगर आप लोग कभी सार्क कंट्रीज के बारे में देखो तो नेपाल या इंडिया हमारी तरह के जो मुल्क हैं या इवन अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज़ को अगर आप देखें तो उन्होंने उन्होंने कम्युनिटी बेस्ड लिविंग अपनी इतनी स्ट्रॉन्ग कर ली है कि दे यूज़ हॉस्पिटल्स दे यूज़ मॉस्क्स दे यूज़ their temples as community places as community areas, right, where the community is able to get together. They're able to create projects that benefit the community and I mean I feel that in if you are able to do this in Pakistan अभी भी हमारे गांव में होता है ये कि जी एक मतलब सारे मिलके कुछ एक काम कर रहे हैं या एक ट्यूबवेल लग रहा है या जो भी लग रहा है आप बाहर से आपको आपके अंदर इतनी प्रोएक्टिवनेस होनी चाहिए कि आप बाहर से किसी का आने का वेट क्यों करते हैं कि वो आके आपके लिए ये काम करेगा सो आई थिंक कि ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि टू ब्रेक थ्रू दी सोशियो इकोनॉमिक फैक्टर्स के ठीक है अगर एक कोई कल्चरली इस तरह कोई एक इशू है तो आप उनको उधर जाके उनको वो ट्रेनिंग दें वो असिस्टेंस दें दैट दे आर नॉट ओनली एबल टू सस्टेन देमसेल्व्स बट आल्सो हेल्प अदर्स विद इन द कम्युनिटी टू ग्रो सो it's a 2-3 step process what do you think
Yes, we want change, but we are not ready to make it possible. If we want change, we have to come out of our house and make it possible by ourselves. So, our first step is always the hardest, but it is needed. every
बिल्कुल
a new beginning is always required for a change. Over to you,
बिल्कुल
Vanisa.
As we were talking about all this, so Bangladesh is also, ma'am, a very good example because they have grown so much right now,
हम्म
right? Okay, so ma'am, my next question to you would be that there's this mindset of our young generation, especially not young generation, you can say all in general, that government jobs are more secure. Like they look for a secure future in everything, right? They want security in everything. But if we talk about entrepreneurship, there are risks like profit and loss, right? So they don't opt for that thing too much. So how do you think we can deal with that?
आप दोनों करें क्या इशू है आप दोनों क्यों नहीं ट्राई करते देखिए let me tell you अभी you introduced me as somebody who's been working for a while and so while I've been doing this and Hapa Studios started off a while back but it was I mean we've had our share of struggles and going through stuff um, and I always taught on the side, like I used to teach. I also used to write. I still write. So the thing is that nobody's stopping you from pursuing your passion. Okay, it's just that you will have to maybe work doubly hard if you have to make ends meet, and if there is nobody there to kind of support you financially, and you don't want to go to the bank for a loan, then you have to put in twice the amount of work. मगर मैंने आज तक ये कभी भी नहीं सुना कि जी आपने दिल लगा के काम किया हो और वो काम चला ना हो या वो काम मतलब अभी भी right now besides Harper Studios I look at a number of other businesses also so why do you want to restrict yourself in your head thinking कि जी एक बिजनेस है और उसको या हमने चलें सीएसएस कर लिया और हमने गवर्नमेंट की नौकरी कर ली या हमने कहीं और काम कर लिया I know so many people who are working 9 to 5, 9 to 6 jobs and they're also running their own businesses. They've created a product, they're selling it online, they're building a small customer base. So, yes, there will come a threshold when they have to decide what they have to do, go one way or the other. But nobody's stopping you from starting. So I think that ये जो एक है ना कि जी choose this or this, I don't think it's a choice. I think you can do both. Why not?
That is a good option. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
So you just said about this, like why not both? But there comes the issue of time management, and there's this financial planning because starters के लिए people always fear that if you do not because business का एक वो mindset लोगों का बना हुआ है कि if you have enough money then you can start a business, right?
Hmm.
So financial वो इतना लोग सोचते तो ज़्यादा है कि they not do not wanted to go on that
Hmm.
because उन्हें लगता है बहुत ज़्यादा risk
मगर जिस तरह मैंने आपको भी बताया ना कि this somebody I know, they called the change makers. So what they do is they go into different colleges, universities, and they actually they say they have a certain budget and वो आपको 1,000-2,000 रुपए देते हैं आपकी business शुरू करने के लिए. And when I was speaking to him, this is exactly what he told me. He said it's not about the money, it's about the mindset. आप 2,000 के साथ भी बिजनेस शुरू कर सकते हैं और आप 2 लाख रुपए होंगे ना आपका फिर भी बिजनेस शुरू नहीं होगा तो जिसने करना है वो 2,000 रुपए के साथ भी कर लेगा ठीक है हो सकता है यस उसको ऑब्वियसली टाइम ज़्यादा लगे कि उसने एक सर्टेन लेवल पे या एक सर्टेन इनकम जनरेट करनी है या दिखानी है मगर मतलब ज़रूरी नहीं है तो आपका और मतलब जो आप अगर आप कहीं काम कर रहे हैं या you're employed somewhere, you're off at 5, right? Your weekends are off. Um, why don't you try and start something and see what happens? अगर business चल गया यार आपको हर काम खुद करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है ना you can also hire a couple of people who can do stuff for you. So I think ये बहुत ज़रूरी है लोगों का समझना कि I've always believed मतलब frankly I've never worked just one job. Okay, so and abhi tak, I mean, I don't just go to one workplace, or I just don't just do one thing. And you know, let me tell you, आप एक नौकरी कर करके आप क्या करते हो? Then you change jobs, then you go someplace else, then you go someplace else. I mean, unless of course there are people who like to work and who like that comfort level, and that's all they want to do in life, which is great. Let them do it. Why not? मगर अगर आपका ये पैशन है कि जी मैं खुद अपने लिए कुछ करना चाहती हूँ, या मैं अपना कोई काम करना चाहती हूँ, तो आप ज़रूर करें। आपको 3 महीने के बजाय शायद 6 महीने लग जाएंगे प्लान करने में या एग्जीक्यूट करने में उस प्लान को, मगर आप करें। आपको, I mean, the sky is the limit. Why don't limit yourself? That's what I tell everybody, that why do you want to limit yourself?
Exactly, my mindset is required, mindset change is required, because लोगों ने thinking एक जगह पे confine कर लिया अपनी। उनको लगता है कि
Hmm.
एक चीज को idealize कर लेते हैं, अपने surroundings को नहीं देखते, कितने options explore नहीं करते, so they need to
Hmm.
explore more. Okay, Rima, over to you.
अपने आप को भी एक्सप्लोर नहीं करते ना, खुद भी नहीं देखते कि क्या करना है।
Vanessa, you can because I've
Okay, I get it, Halima. Okay, so ma'am, there are also few things. Okay, some businesses require you to stay at home, right? You don't need to go out every day to work. But there are some, that requires you to go every day to look at it, right? So there's comes the issue of women secure, because women are considered, rather emotional, weak. This double bind stereotype, कि औरत नहीं कर सकती इतना काम, they're weak, right? और डिसीजन मेकिंग पावर भी उनको उतनी नहीं दी जाती है, गेस, है ना? तो डिसीजन मेकिंग पावर, लाइक हाउ डू यू थिंक वी कैन डील विद दैट? लाइक आई हैव सीन नंबर ऑफ एग्जांपल्स एज फॉर यू, people women can actually do things, but लोगों को वो नहीं लगता कि इस तरह नहीं हो सकता. So how do you think we can cope up with that?
देखो, आई थिंक लोगों को, खैर लोगों को तो बहुत कुछ लगता है और नहीं लगता। मेरा सिर्फ पॉइंट ये है कि जो औरत है उसको क्या लगता है, आप लोगों को छोड़ देना। अगर एक औरत को ये लगता है, आप घर में भी देखो, अगेन आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि हर किसी को ज़रूरत भी है घर से बाहर निकलने की, हो सकता है कि उनके ऊपर घर की सर्टेन रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ हों, तो आप घर पे बैठ के भी बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं। आई मीन, नाउ वी हैव सो मेनी होम शेफ्स। आई मीन, आई हैव ऑर्डर्ड इवन फ्रॉम फूड पैंडा, आई हैव ऑर्डर्ड फ्रॉम सो मेनी होम शेफ्स एंड दे आर ग्रेट। सो वो भी तो घर पे बैठ के कर रही है ना, वो बाहर तो नहीं निकली। मगर उन्होंने क्या किया, ऑनलाइन जो आपका ई कॉमर्स है या जो आपका सोशल कॉमर्स है, लाइक द फेसबुक, इंस्टाग्राम वगैरह, इट हैज़ ओपनड अप अ होल न्यू वे टू डू बिजनेस एंड अ होल न्यू वे टू बिकम एन एंटरप्रेन्योर. So I think largely women should take huge advantage of this, because आपकी मार्केटिंग और एक्सेसिबिलिटी में आपको कोई इशू नहीं है, ठीक? आपकी जो रीच टू द मार्केट है उसके अंदर कोई इशू नहीं है। आपको अब डिलीवरी वाइज, यू हैव ऑल सॉर्ट्स ऑफ डिलीवरी सर्विसेज, यू हैव ऑल सॉर्ट्स ऑफ लॉजिस्टिक सर्विसेज दैट कैन डू डिलीवरी फॉर यू. So I mean, frankly, now there's nothing really stopping you. You just need one room to start off something. ठीक है, अब उसके अंदर थोड़ा सा ये ज़रूर बात होती है हमेशा कि जी सोशल कॉमर्स या ई कॉमर्स को ऑपरेट करने के लिए आपको एक सर्टेन स्किल सेट चाहिए, या एक सर्टेन लेट्स से टेक्नोलॉजिकल अवेयरनेस या कोई ट्रेनिंग चाहिए, तो वो डेफिनेटली आपको चाहिए और आपको लेनी भी चाहिए. नाउ देयर इज so many courses etc that are happening. Some of them are paid, some of them are not paid, but again, if you go to the e-commerce, to the Ministry of Commerce, they've recently launched a website also, which is called e-tijarat, एंड उसके ऊपर आपकी ये सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन है, फ्रॉम सेटिंग अप अ बिज़नेस. आपकी अगर एक बिज़नेस आपने रजिस्टर करानी है, सोल प्रोप्राइटरशिप रजिस्टर करानी है, उसके क्या तरीक़ेकार है, आपने मतलब FBR, अब तो FBR का पूरा सिस्टम इज़ ऑनलाइन इन टर्म्स ऑफ टैक्सेशन. आपको अगर एक्सेस टू टेक्नोलॉजी चाहिए, आपको घर पे बैठे बिठाए आपको एक फ़ोन सेट सिर्फ चाहिए और एक कनेक्शन. बाकी तो एंड मतलब बैठे बिठाए आपको सब कुछ मिल जाता है. सो आई डोंट थिंक फ्रैंकली दैट even if you're sitting at home and you want to start a business, this should not be an excuse कि जी मैं किस तरह शुरू करूँ. तो आई डोंट थिंक ये इशू होना चाहिए. ये आप मुझे कहें कि हाँ जी फाइनेंस नहीं है या पैसे नहीं है या हमें नो हाउ नहीं है. यस, दीज आर थिंग्स दैट are not that you might not have, but these are also things that you can work on, right? Like these are not things that necessarily are not available. Even these are available online. So everybody uses, frankly everybody uses jazz cash, everybody uses मतलब Facebook, Instagram अगर आपको इस्तेमाल करना आता है तो आपको उस पर चीज़ें भी बेचने आ जाएंगी. सिर्फ ये कि आप कोई कोर्स कर लोगे which is like, of course it's not you don't, there are lots of free courses also now. Facebook runs free courses, तो आप वो ले लें, आपको उससे बहुत सारी इंफॉर्मेशन और फिर उसको अप्लाई करना अपनी बिजनेस के ऊपर. दैट्स ऑफ कोर्स अप टू यू, बट it's not something that cannot be done, right? So in the past 5 years I think it's there's been exponential growth in terms of the ease of doing business and the sort of avenues and availability of how to market or how to capture your audience. You don't need an online you don't need an on ground setup anymore. You can just kind of do stuff online.
So yeah, just basically it's about you. It's not about the people. It's about what you think, right? Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. In the end, I just wanted to ask you, what advice do you give to young girls who wanted to opt for entrepreneurship?
Start now.
Great.
So if you're in college, or you're, even if you're in O levels, I think even if you're in grade 5, I'm sure you can find something to do and to sell. So I also run this website. It's called Bastan, and Bastan ke upar last year we onboarded some brands that are run actually by kids, and of course their parents are helping them. But there's this girl who creates amazing nature-based beauty products, and I think she's now maybe 13, 14 years old, and her mother helps her out. But she came up with it and she's doing it, and mashallah, she's doing a great job. We had this other girl who was in O levels. She was selling baking cookies and selling them. We had someone who was creating, handmade diaries and stationery and stuff. So I mean, frankly, to become an entrepreneur, you just need to kind of turn what you enjoy doing into something that will make money for you. That's the best way to for me to explain it. And you can start at any age. I mean, if you, in fact, there's something very interesting that I was looking at the other day, that Facebook and Shopify actually have a course which is called Shopify for Kids. So they're looking at 10-year-olds selling products on Facebook on and using the marketplace. So why not? So I think that there's absolutely no limitation on age. Women in general should not think कि जी घर बैठे क्या कर सकते हैं, या मतलब पैसे नहीं हैं तो क्या कर सकते हैं. अगर आपके पास 500 रुपये भी हैं तो आप उसी से शुरू कर लें और आप उसको मार्केट करें. और अगर आपकी प्रोडक्ट वो बिक गई तो आप maybe in 2 months you'll be making 10,000 rupees.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was indeed a very enlightening session. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. Halima, Vaniza, nice meeting you guys.
It
Take
was
care.
lovely talking.
Take care, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Khudafiz.
Allah Hafiz.